$7 million for 30 seconds. Can you believe that's what companies are paying for a Super Bowl commercial?
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it really shows how much the Super Bowl is, well, it's more than just a game at this point.
Oh, for sure. It's this global phenomenon, a huge economic engine driven by, well, I guess you could say it's driven by our obsession with it.
You got that right. So today we're doing a deep dive into the economics of the Super Bowl. We've got a ton of Reddit threads, some Wikipedia, and a bunch of articles to sort through.
We're going to look at everything from what it costs to actually be there in the stadium
Yeah.
to the effect it has on the cities that host it.
Exactly. Even stuff about how smaller businesses try to, get in on the action. But first, ticket prices. Always a good place to start. And Reddit is perfect for this because people share their crazy stories. Like some people are saying they paid $1,500 just for nosebleed seats.
Oof, I can't even imagine.
And for the really good seats, the prime locations, people are talking about $30,000 or more. Seriously. One person even said they paid like 5 figures for a pair of tickets. They were saying it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
I guess for some people it is. But wow, it makes you think though, right? Like what makes people spend that much? Is it just being a diehard fan? Or FOMO? Or is it like a bucket list thing?
Right. Especially when you think about it. Like if you watch from home, you probably get a better view of the game on a big TV.
For sure. Some people on Reddit were even saying that you could have like an amazing vacation for that much money.
Yeah, exactly. So it really raises the question, what is it about being there in person that makes it worth that much?
Well, there's the atmosphere, the energy, being surrounded by other fans.
True. Okay, but moving on from those insane ticket prices, let's talk about the ads.
Oh yeah, the ads.
So Wikipedia and some articles from Prawn talk about how much these 30-second commercials cost.
Insane.
$7 million back in 2022. I mean, how do companies even make a profit from that?
Right. Well, some people on Reddit are saying it's not really about immediate sales. It's more about getting your name out there.
Brand awareness.
Yeah. Brand awareness and creating buzz on social media, like a long-term investment.
But how do you even measure that? Not everyone watching the Super Bowl is going to run out and buy whatever they see in a commercial.
I know. It's definitely a different way of thinking about advertising. We're hoping the ad will, stick in people's minds.
Yeah.
Create a positive association with their brand.
And then there are those ads that just become memes, which can be good or bad.
Definitely a gamble.
Yeah.
You're at the mercy of the internet.
Like that Kenyan Mission ad from Just for Feet back in '99.
That one.
People hated it. It actually ended up hurting the company.
Yeah.
Shows you that even with the Super Bowl, your message has to, hit the mark.
Yeah. You got to know your audience. All right, ready for something totally random?
Hit me.
Trademark law.
Huh.
Apparently the NFL is, super protective of the phrase Super Bowl. Oh yeah, a bunch of people on Reddit were surprised to find this out. You can't just use Super Bowl in your advertising without, possibly getting in trouble with the NFL.
So that's why everyone says the big game instead.
Bingo. They want to get in on the hype without getting sued, basically.
It's like that with the Olympics too, right? And Louis Vuitton, they're always going after people for using their stuff.
Totally. Shows how much those names and events are worth.
Yeah.
It's something to remember when we're talking about how the Super Bowl affects host cities. That trademark thing is a big reason it makes so much money.
Okay, let's talk about the host cities then. Articles from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce are all, super positive. They're talking billions of dollars from tourism.
Yeah, and all the money people spend.
But is it all good?
Well, a report from NC State says we need to look a little deeper. They're asking if the benefits are actually bigger than the costs.
What kind of cost?
Like all the infrastructure they have to build, security, all the resources it takes to host something that big.
And what about the people who actually live in those cities?
That's a good point. That's something the NC State report brought up. There are worries about gentrification, property values going up, people getting pushed out.
And I guess whether that money is actually helping everyone in the city.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just about how much money comes in. It's about the whole picture.
Okay, so it's a bit more complicated than just a boost to the economy. Before we get into that more, let's talk about how the Super Bowl has turned into this, it's an entertainment spectacle.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about the football anymore.
Right. The Wikipedia page about the halftime show talks about how it's changed over time.
Yeah.
From, just marching bands to these huge productions.
Yeah. Like, who could forget Michael Jackson in '93? That changed everything.
Totally. Now the halftime show is like its own.
It's a big deal.
And that's no accident. By adding that entertainment aspect, the NFL is trying to attract more viewers, get those ratings up, which of course increases the value of the Super Bowl.
Makes sense. Speaking of attracting viewers, did you read about that whole SIM sub ban thing in Canada?
Oh yeah, the SimSub ban. That was wild.
What even is that?
So basically, Canadian cable companies used to replace the American Super Bowl broadcast with the Canadian one.
What? Why?
So Canadians wouldn't see the American commercials.
Seriously.
Seriously. But the Canadian viewers were not happy about it. They took it to court.
And
They won. The Supreme Court of Canada said they have the right to watch the American broadcast, commercials and all.
wow. They really wanted to see those commercials.
Right. It really shows how much the Super Bowl, well, how much it reaches beyond just sports. It's this like cultural thing. It touches on entertainment, marketing, law, and of course economics.
Absolutely. It's amazing how many different things are tied to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's wild. It's not just the big companies trying to get noticed during the Super Bowl either.
What do you mean?
Well, the smaller businesses get in on it too. Decca Direct Online was talking about that.
How so?
Like, think about restaurants, bars, even people driving for Uber and Lyft.
Yeah.
They make a killing during Super Bowl weekend
Yeah.
because everyone's going out to watch the game, grab food, celebrate, whether their team wins or loses.
Makes sense.
That-
It's like
that-
a mini economic boom.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. A short one, but still.
Yeah.
And any business that's smart can use all those extra people to their advantage.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about corporations, local businesses, but what about the fans?
Oh, the fans are like the most important part of the Super Bowl.
I mean, they're the ones paying for those expensive tickets.
Exactly. They're the ones buying jerseys and all the snacks and all of that Super Bowl stuff. So, yeah, they're a big part of why there's so much money involved.
But it's not just about the money they spend, is it? I feel like their excitement is part of why the Super Bowl is such a big deal.
Absolutely. Social media is crazy during the Super Bowl. Everyone's making predictions, talking about their watch parties, reacting to everything. It's all because the fans are so into it.
Yeah. And that excitement, it's like free advertising. Companies love that.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot about the Super Bowl. I guess what's the main thing someone listening should take away from all this?
Yeah, what have we learned?
Well, I think the big takeaway is that the Super Bowl is not just a game.
It's way more than that.
Right. It's like this example of how the economy, culture, even the law all come together.
And money plays a huge role in it. I mean, the ticket prices, the trademark stuff.
But even though there can be a lot of benefits, especially for the host city and businesses, we got to remember what we were saying earlier about the potential downsides. Like the stuff in that NC State report, the concerns about gentrification, the money not helping everyone equally.
Yeah, right. So it's more complicated than just, oh, look, more money.
Yeah, there's more to the story.
Yeah.
But I think besides all the money talk, the Super Bowl shows how obsessed we are with big events in sports. I mean, it brings people together, gives them something to talk about, makes memories, even if those memories cost a fortune.
Yeah, good point. Like, speaking of memories, I loved that story from one of the Reddit users about going to the Super Bowl.
The one who got into that Taste of the NFL thing.
Yeah. Free food, concerts, even massages.
Yeah.
Just because they were in the right place at the right time, you can't buy that kind of experience.
Totally. It shows that going to the Super Bowl is about way more than just the game itself. It's about being part of something huge, being with all those other crazy fans.
Yeah, you can feel the energy even watching it at home.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter if you're at the stadium, a watch party, or just seeing clips online. The Super Bowl brings people together. It gets everyone talking. It's almost like a tradition.
I feel like we've talked so much about the business side of it, we can't forget about the actual players.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're the ones out there playing, giving it their all, and winning or losing the game.
Yeah, and while they make a ton of money, especially the ones who make it to the Super Bowl, they still work hard and deserve respect for what they do.
Exactly. It's easy to focus on all the hype and the commercials, but the Super Bowl is really about amazing athletes at the top of their game.
And I think that's something that fans from all over the world connect with, even if they don't totally understand the game.
It's like it goes beyond just culture, because everyone gets the idea of competition and, the drama of it all.
Definitely. It's bigger than any one country. Speaking of the bigger picture, I think it's interesting to see how the Super Bowl has changed professional sports.
Yeah. I mean, it's become like the biggest sporting event there is, not just in America, but everywhere.
And the other leagues like the NBA and baseball, they're all trying to make their championships as big as the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they want that same excitement, that feeling that it's a huge deal, and of course, all the viewers and money that come with it.
But it's not easy to just copy that. The Super Bowl has years of tradition, great marketing, and maybe even some luck.
And it's always changing. It changes with how people watch TV and use the internet.
Yeah, like with streaming and social media, now you can watch the Super Bowl on your phone or follow along on Twitter. And people have virtual watch parties with their friends and family. It's crazy.
It shows how the Super Bowl keeps up with the times, you know. It stays relevant.
Makes you wonder what it'll be like in the future.
Right. Will it keep getting more popular? Will it get too big? Who knows?
It's hard to say, but one thing's for sure, the Super Bowl is a powerful thing. It's not just about sports anymore.
Okay, can we go back to those crazy ticket prices for a sec? That was a big topic on Reddit.
Yeah, it was. Some people couldn't believe that anyone would spend that much money on a single game. Others were like, why bother going when you can see it better on TV?
It's a tough one. Is it about being there, feeling the energy, making memories? Or is it just about enjoying the game no matter where you are?
It depends what's important to you, and of course, how much money you have.
But the fact that people are paying so much just shows how much the Super Bowl means to them. It's more than just a game now. It's like a way to show off if you can afford it.
And because those tickets are so hard to get, there's this whole other market for them, with scalpers and websites that sell them for way more.
It's like economics 101. Low supply, high demand equals big money.
And while some people are fine with paying those high prices, other fans are trying to find cheaper ways to go.
Yeah, like Reddit was full of advice on how to get tickets without spending a fortune.
And even if you can't get a ticket to the game, there are still other ways to be a part of it all.
Oh, yeah. Bars and restaurants have watch parties. There are community events. You can even have a virtual party online. It's like no matter where you are or how much money you have, you can still be a part of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that it can bring so many people together.
Okay, well, I think it's time to start wrapping up our deep dive on Super Bowl economics. It's time to think about, what it all means in the long run.
What do you think the Super Bowl will be remembered for? Like beyond the touchdowns and the halftime shows?
I think it'll be remembered as this huge cultural event that really shows how much Americans love entertainment and business.
It's true. It's about sports, but also about the spectacle and those crazy commercials.
And how the media has changed. I mean, think about it.
Like,
The first Super Bowls were on TV in black and white. Now it's this high-definition event that you can watch on anything.
it's come a long way.
And who knows what's next? Maybe virtual reality
Mm-hmm.
or holographic watch parties.
That would be wild. Okay, before we completely finish this deep dive, I want to leave everyone with a question.
Okay, hit us with it.
We've talked about how the price of tickets keeps going up and how not everyone benefits equally from the Super Bowl. So is the Super Bowl becoming something only rich people can enjoy? Is there still room for the average fan in this whole thing?
That's a good question. And it's something to think about, especially with those crazy ticket prices. It's definitely getting harder for the average person to see the game live.
And if most of the money goes to corporations and rich people, is the Super Bowl really for everyone? I mean, it's supposed to be a national event, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's a tough one, and there's no easy answer. But it's something we should talk about when we think about the future of the Super Bowl.
Definitely. And if anyone listening wants to join the conversation, share your thoughts on social media with the hashtag Deep Dive Super Bowl.
We want to hear what you think.
And with that, we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See you then. Keep learning and asking questions.
Yeah, it really makes you think about who gets to enjoy the Super Bowl experience. But even if you can't be there in person, the game itself is still exciting to watch, right?
Oh, definitely. There have been some unbelievable plays, games that come down to the very last second.
And those controversial calls that everyone argues about.
Yeah, those are always fun. It's what people remember. But we also can't forget about, the historical side of it.
Yeah, like watching teams become dynasties or quarterbacks becoming legends.
And those underdog teams that nobody expects to win. It's classic American sports.
Yeah. And you see those stories passed down through generations, like grandparents who talk about watching Joe Montana win with the 49ers, and now their grandkids are watching Patrick Mahomes do amazing things with the Chiefs.
It's something that connects people of all ages. Doesn't matter what your background is. Everyone loves a good game.
We've talked a lot about the money, the culture, the legal stuff, but I feel like we're missing something.
What's that?
The human side of it all. It's easy to forget about the people involved when you're talking about an event this big.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's more than just numbers and contracts.
Right. Think about all the people working behind the scenes to make the Super Bowl happen. Stadium staff, security, people selling food. the camera crews.
Yeah, those are the people you don't see, but they're putting in the work to make sure everything runs smoothly.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the players. They have families, dreams, and problems just like everyone else.
Right. They're not just athletes. They're real people.
It's easy to forget that when you see them on TV. But they have to deal with a lot of pressure.
And injuries. And what happens when they can't play anymore.
For them, the Super Bowl is a huge deal, but it's just one part of their lives.
Exactly. So yeah, they're playing to win, but they're also playing for their future and for their families.
It's something to think about. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Super Bowl economics, I think it's clear that the Super Bowl is way more than just a game.
Absolutely. It's a cultural event. It's an economic powerhouse. It even involves legal battles.
Yeah, it's complicated. It has a huge impact on our society, whether you like it or not.
We've looked at all the money involved, from the cheap seats to the people making the big decisions. But we also talked about why it's so important to our culture, all the legal issues, and the stories of the people involved.
It's been a really interesting journey, and I hope everyone listening has learned something new about the Super Bowl and how it affects the world.
Yeah, me too.
We like to end our deep dives with something to think about. And since we've talked about how expensive tickets are getting and how not everyone benefits equally from the Super Bowl, here's the question. Is the Super Bowl becoming something that only rich people can enjoy? Is there still a place for the average fan?
It's a good question and a tough one to answer. What do you think?
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them with us on social media using hashtag #DeepDiveSuperBowl.
Yeah, let's keep this conversation going.
And that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.